Hi, welcome to the Small Scape. I'm Joanna, and today we're talking aquatic plants from Petsmart. Everything you need to know, both the good and the bad. Welcome back to the channel. I am excited to yet again bring you another plants video. But don't you worry, pretty soon I'm going to be getting into some really fun scapes, maybe even using some of these plants that I just got. So let's start out. I have 5 pros, 5 cons of why you may or may not want to buy these plants. I'm going to start out with the pros. Number 1 for me, may not be for you, for me, is availability. We have a Petsmart very close by. I know that I can just hop on over, get some plants if I need to. Also, if you have not kept aquatic plants and you're not sure, you're maybe a little afraid, this is a great place to start because it's right at your Petsmart. Maybe you're picking up some dog food, some treats, whatever. You can grab yourself a plant that's in a tube, take it home, and start having fun with some aquatic plants. So it's a great way to get started. For those of us who really don't like snails in our tanks, well, we have a number of tanks. We have many tanks. If you know me from Primetime Aquatics, we have about 80 tanks these days, and most of them, not all of them, have snails. A couple snails here and there is great, but snails reproduce very quickly if you didn't know that. So to bring home some nice new shiny plants, put them in your tank, a few days later, a few weeks later, you've got yourself some snails. That's usually not a plus for a lot of people. So these are snail free. Speaking of the top fin packaging, which is the brand of plants that you will find at Petsmart, I find these very user-friendly, especially if you are not very well versed on plants. You're just starting to get into the aquatic plant world. If you are, welcome. This is great for the beginner and even intermediate if you don't want to look it up. What's my point here? Number 3, it shows you the size of the plant that it will be when it's adult, because you may get yourself a small tube. Petsmart has 3 different size tubes. This is a small, this is a medium, and this is a large. Okay, this is great. Keep in mind, these two are the same plant. This one's just more adult than this one, so you will eventually learn that you will have a very large plant in your tank. That's what I really love about this packaging, is it gives you a little picture and says tall plant. So you may be getting a little tiny plant here, and then if you look here and you're like, oh boy, that's gonna be tall. Maybe you're getting a very small tank and you want a small plant. This is probably not the best option. Number 4 on the list of pros, we have had very good luck with these plants. In a lot of our tanks, we do have Petsmart plants, and they've worked out very well for us. A lot of the plants that we have, anubias is one of my favorites. They have 3 varieties, generally speaking. They will have the anubias nana, they have usually the congensis, and the frazeri. Also the Java fern, they have your regular Java fern, but then they also carry Windalov and the crested Java fern sometimes too. So you get a nice little variety. They also have swords. We don't really get a lot of those because we have plecos in a lot of our tanks, and plecos do like to eat swords. And they also have a number of other ones that you may like, but those are generally the ones that we like. Number 5, these are my 2 little money saving tips. When you go there, you can look for smaller tubes. Like I said, they come in 3 different sizes. I think in our area it's approximately for the small size, it's about $7 a tube. Then the next size is $10, and then this large size is $13, I think. So if you say, wow, I really like that sword, take a look and see if they have a smaller one. You're gonna pay less and it will eventually grow. So if you have some patience and you like to watch your plant grow, this would be a good option. Point number 2, which is Pro 5B, your tip, is if you like a plant, let's see, I think I have a really good option here, a little example. Here, I just love when I have to get plants for a video. Here's a little tip that I found that I really like. Say you like this plant right here. It's an anubias. Just take a look in a smaller size tube, and then you may see the same, nearly the same size plant in a smaller tube. You may find the same kind of plant in a smaller tube that's going to cost less money. And if you hold them up, they're a little bit different, but maybe not that different. So save yourself some money and get yourself a plant in a smaller tube. Now it's time to talk about the cons. Number one is these plants you find in the tubes are actually grown out of water. So when you go and you take these home and you put them in your aquarium, quite possibly you will have some dieback. Not always, but sometimes. So that is a little bit of a con that you want to keep in mind, because if you go to your local fish store, they are probably already submerged and you will not have that kind of transition period that you're going to have to wait out. Keep that in mind. Con number two. Like I said, the prices that you are going to find at the Petsmart for these tubes vary anywhere from $7 to $13, which may not be as inexpensive as if you were to go online and find them elsewhere. Also keep in mind that they don't have multi-volume discounts. A lot of your suppliers online may offer a discount if you buy more than one or two or three or what have you. I've never seen PetSmart offer any kind of a discount. For more you buy, the more you save, because otherwise I would probably save a lot. Con number three, you will have a limited selection. Whatever they have is what you have to choose from. I don't know if you saw my video a couple weeks ago. I put out a video, anubias versus crypts. Two great plants. Keep in mind they don't have full-size crypts at PetSmart. I've never seen them, and I have checked there a lot. They do have these little tiny ones, the crypt red, but as you can see, they're very, very tiny. Number four, I would say, I don't know what I would call this, but the packaging that they come into. They come in a tube which you have limited visibility into. Yes, you can take a look kind of through there. I would also suggest looking down into the tube to take a look to see how the roots look, if it's all crispy down at the bottom. Just take your best guess. You can't open the tube, so you're basically just left to trying to see what the inside of the plant looks like. You also don't know how long these plants have sat there. Keep in mind, that's not their main job. Plants is a very small, the aquatics plant area at your PetSmart is a very small little section. So I would recommend, if you really want some education, some assistance, for our other channel, Primetime Aquatics, we have a channel sponsor, Flip Aquatics. Great company, great people. We love dealing with them. They know plants. They know fish. They know plants. That would be a place that you would probably want to go to instead, that you can have some assistance and you know that somebody is actually hand picking plants and sending you really healthy ones, as opposed to you just walking into a PetSmart, picking up a tube and not really knowing really its history, how long it sat there and all that. So keep that in mind. For my last con, this was actually, this used to be a more bigger con, a bigger challenge for me than it is now. Practice, right? Is getting your plant successfully out of the tube. The best way that I can suggest for you to take it out of the tube is absolutely have a pair of scissors. Don't try to rip into it, because sometimes this tape just doesn't want to come off. Obviously make sure that your plant is under where you're going to cut. I like to cut the top of the tube off. And then, very carefully, while you know exactly where your plant leaves are, I like to cut down the side, because you want to make sure, that would be awkward if I cut the leaves off. Alright, now you can get a good sight line into where it is, because I did once I didn't have any patience. I just pulled it up, it got stuck, and I ripped off leaves. It was tragic. So now, and I'll take it out so you know what it looks like. It's just in this little tiny clear plastic pot. If you wanted to, you could cut cut this off. This is also tape. They kind of go crazy with the tape. But it's got this silica gel and those little crystals in there. Probably want to do this over a sink. But then at least you can see exactly where, if there's any leaves stuck, like right here, there's a little leaf stuck under the lid. So if I were to just pull this out, yep, I'm snapping off a leaf. Makes a little bit of a mess. Always do it over a sink, not like me here. And see all this stuff in here? You just want to take it in the sink, rinse it all off. Phew, alright, so I got that all cleaned off in the sink, which is definitely where you want to do it because there's a blob somewhere around here. All cleaned off, except for there are some little bits of gel, and I call it silica gel. I don't know why. It's some sort of gel. I don't know actually what kind of gel it's called, but this is a nice anubias congensis, and that looks very nice outside of the tube. Look at that. And so I will have to take that and get that cleaned off. So it does take a little bit of work getting your gel and those little white crystals off. It's not toxic to your fish, but you definitely want it off there before you put it in your aquarium. So I of course did not show you every single plant that they typically have. They do have, as a side note, they do have moss balls, which can be really fun. This is a great first plant if you are not sure you want to get into the aquarium sort of planted tank. This is a great first one because all you do is put it in some water and it's a little mossy ball. It's really fun. They also have little tiny anubias, which I would assume this is a Nana Petite, but some of them get pretty large looking, so I'm not really quite sure what they put in here. And they put it in a little pot. It's called a potted betta plant. Another nice one that I have gotten from them before is Bacopa. Those are my top pros and cons of Petsmart Aquatic plants. I hope this was helpful for you. Maybe you have had some experiences yourself with Petsmart plants. If you have, leave it in the description box below. And I appreciate you watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.